Hello and welcome to the Yeerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will,
My name is Jonathan.
and we are the
Yeerky Boys.
Yeah. Woo.
I think we got there.
We're doing it. We're here.
We're in a good mood today.
We sure are. We're doing the first Megamorphs book today.
Yeah. So, I feel like we should maybe talk about what that is for the listeners and for me too. Yeah, I read it, but like, what is it? You know?
Yeah, so they're sort of like extra books, I guess, auxiliary books. They're not quite main series. They're all canon. Um, they're not necessary. You can skip them. They're longer than the regular books, and they take place from the point of view of all the characters.
All the characters? Visser 3,
Well,
Chapman.
right. No,
Okay.
all the main characters.
Okay.
The main six
Okay.
people. And generally speaking, they came out around the summer. So I'm not sure if these were supposed to be like, oh, well, during the school year, they're coming out monthly for the book fairs, but then during the summer, you get one big one or something like this. I'm not sure. But that's around the time of year when these would happen.
I feel like the thing that it made me think of was in comic books, they'll do annuals. You know what I'm talking about?
Not really, no.
A lot of, at least I know Marvel does. I'm pretty sure DC does it too. For a lot, like Spider-Man, for Amazing Spider-Man, for instance, or Spider-Man as Jake knows and Marco know it. We'll have, every month Spider-Man number 7, 8, 9, whatever, and like once a year. I'm not sure I think it's maybe in addition to or maybe instead of, they'll have an annual to be like Amazing Spider-Man annual number 35 or whatever. And it's like, it's not a direct continuation of the story. But it's bigger. It's usually like 5 or 6 little mini Spider-Man stories collected in one. And it's kind of like a fun, like it's like a few extra bucks. It's like a big hype book that doesn't really matter, but it's like fun to read. I feel like that's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what this is. Like on the money in every way.
Great. Spider-Man's in it and everything.
Yeah, good old Spider-Man. Now I never knew this before, but I did read on Seropedia that this book was originally released in 2 parts as 2 books. I could not find, where the 2 books were split. I couldn't even find like what the alternate cover looked like. I didn't look that hard, I guess, but I had never heard of this before, and I don't think they did this with any of the other Megamorphs. This book's actually quite a bit different from all the other Megamorphs. It's clearly them messing around with, I guess, that annual idea, and not quite having figured out where they're going to settle yet. But
we need I feel like listeners to write in and explain this mystery to us. I still don't believe it's real. Where is this part 1 and part 2 version?
Yeah, I don't know. This is the only place I've ever heard of it is on Seropedia, so I'm assuming it's true, but maybe somebody just bullshitted it on there.
It was me.
Oh, you.
They're just trying to trip you up. Well, and we were, there was some trepidation on this episode. I guess we still aren't 100% committed to making this 1 episode versus 2. We're thinking maybe there's a chance this goes long because it's a longer book. I will say, yeah. Maybe you're gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Say what you're gonna say first, but I think I am. Yeah.
Based on my reading of it, I think we're gonna have no problem doing this in 1 episode.
Yeah, I think so too. Because my memory of this book was that it was basically, just an Animorph story. Even though there's more pages, there's not really more to it than what would fit in a normal book. But then I was kind of flipping through it, and I was like, well, maybe there's a whole bunch of, extra scenes, instead of just one scene, we'll have the same scene told from different perspectives, and that means we have more details, and that means we have more bullshit to talk about. So maybe it just takes longer to get through the story, even though it's just an Animorph story. But after actually having gone through and been like, okay, let's notate down exactly what I want to talk about, no, it's basically the same length here at the end of the day
Yeah, like
for
the
me.
the same amount of stuff happens in this book as any other. It just takes longer to for it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
but it,
there's like a lot more. They have like the full exposition. I feel like in the other books, they're only expositing the relevant parts. You know, if you don't see Marco's mom, we're not going to talk about Marco's mom, for example. But in this one, they're telling you everything, and there's a lot. Every time they do a morph, instead of being like, yeah, you've seen them do squirrel before or whatever, it's like, no, let's spend a page or two talking about squirrels and squirrel instincts, even though we've done that already. Um,
yeah,
the other
yeah.
megamorphs are less like this.
Hmm. I wonder if it was also like that's another sort of comic book trick is every once in a while they'll just relaunch change the numbering and be like number 1 is out again, even though it's a continuation of the story to trick new readers into thinking they
Mm,
can start now. That maybe they were like, well, there's 7 Animorphs books now. This is kind of like a previously on for people who haven't read yet. They can start here and understand what's going on. I mean, that's all of them, but this is like one big previously on.
yeah, I mean, this is honestly not a bad one to start on because it has so much of the exposition and because it it's not particularly important or crazy. So you know, you're not going to get like, okay, I'm reading this normal Animorph. What the hell is this Elemist guy coming in a third of the way through? What is this story? What is this universe? It's overwhelming. Like, no, this is just like they do stuff. So it's kind of okay.
They do stuff. Yeah, and I guess I'll save the rest of my thoughts for as we get into it
I guess
on
so.
that stuff.
I mean, I think there's a couple of structural things that you could probably just talk
Hmm.
about now if you wanted to.
Sure, sure. Well, yeah, you just want to like lay out. I mean, like you said, the book is told from multiple perspectives, and
Hmm.
you know, I enjoyed that. I did enjoy that. I thought it was a nice change of pace, and it allowed them to actually change scenes. It felt more cinematic in that way because it's you know, it was like cutting into another character's perspective or a completely different location, which normally in the books you never get that. You're
Yeah.
in one place until that person goes to another place. So that was cool.
Yes. No. That is uh a like good idea. Um. Now, one of the things that this book does do, and this is why I'm saying the other megamorphs are a little different because I do not recall them being quite like this. Is that it'll be like, okay, so here's something that happens, you know, and chapter 2 or for example will be Jake's perspective, and then chapter 3 will be Marco, and it'll be the exact same events as chapter 2 but Marco talking about him, and then chapter 5 will be the exact same events but Tobias talking about them because all three of them are there. And
Hmm.
it gets, there are parts there where it gets a little repetitive. I feel like in the later megamorphs they do a better job with like, okay, so Marco, Jake, and Tobias are there, so we're going to flip between their perspectives, but the story is going to continue chapter by chapter rather than retreading the same thing. Like the pacing just is a little bit less strange. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
I
could
mean,
see
we'll
that.
see when we actually look at it if that is true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely had some. Yeah, a little bit of that. I feel like more towards the second half of the book that cleared up and it started. There was less
Hmm.
repetition. I think.
That is true, although I also think that, well, I guess we can talk about it when we get there, but the second half of the book is a lot more like just a little bit more rushed and things are just kind of happening, whereas the first one you got a lot more of the interesting details. So like she is getting, at least she is getting these like fun little observations and dumb details in there by having all the different characters talk about the same thing. So I guess there is some benefit here.
Yeah, sure. There's
Um
some benefit.
yeah. And I also like reading it. Definitely. I'm remembering this is a, this must have been a very early book for me in terms of when I read it. I don't really remember, but there's a lot of scenes that I read them and I'm just like, yep, I can. This scene is one of those scenes that I always think about in Animorphs, and I never remember after a read through of the series what book it was from or where it was from, and it's not important. It doesn't matter. So it must have been one of my earlier impressions of it. I know it's not like the earliest, but like clearly after I picked up, 4 because it was the first one, and 20 because it was the latest one, and Megamorphs 2 because it was the latest
Smoke up,
Megamorphs, and
by the way.
hmm?
I just said smoke up because he's got 4 and then 20, so I just said smoke
Oh,
up.
yes, of course, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
but 15's got a fish on it, so I had to get that one. But yeah, clearly after my first thing, this was one of the, I was like, okay, well, let's go get Megamorphs #1, and then I'll have read all the Megamorphs that were out at the time.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
makes
know.
sense. I get that. It's like yeah, it makes. I think that was
Yeah,
their intention. Probably was
yeah.
kids will
It's
want to
kind of
buy
what you were
this.
saying, right?
Yeah. I feel like is this episode has been too. We're talking too much about the book. I just want to say something stupid before we get into the more
Yeah.
boring
Oh,
parts.
dang. Yeah, we're like so close to getting into the book, and we're only. Yeah, it should be at least twice this long to get here. At this rate, it's going to be a shorter episode than
I
usual.
honestly think that it's very possible this is a shorter episode, but we'll see. But
It
I
could easily be.
I just wanted to say something I thought of, which is could theoretically, or do you think they would maybe an animorph or a person with morphing powers might morph into a cow and then have some of their own meat cut off of the cow body, morph back to human to be fully healed, and then live off of their own former meat, cook up that meat, and every time they're hungry, they just turn into a cow, get somebody to cut off their own body and then cook it up, and you know what I mean?
Sadly, you are way too close to describing the plot of an actual Animorphs book for this joke to truly
I,
land.
there's no joke, it's just something I wondered. But okay, so I guess maybe that will happen. Maybe that will happen. Okay,
Yeah, well, just keep that joke in mind. We'll get there.
again, not a joke, but yeah, okay. I will keep that in mind. I
Right,
have
your
that
observation.
that and an important skunk are currently. I have post-it notes on my monitor.
Yeah, I think the skunk is coming up in like 2 books or something, so don't worry
Great,
about that one
great.
for too long.
Okay, well, I'll remove the sticky note when the time comes. Okay, so I think that's good. Then we can get into the cover.
Yes, the cover. Man, this is an early cover for us.
I don't know that it's that early.
It is.
I feel like this is more or less on par.
I don't know. I think we're doing good. We're learning and being
Okay,
better.
sure. Yeah, we're doing really good. Yeah, so we got the whole gang on this cover except for one.
Yes.
Why does an axe get to be on the cover?
Axe is not on the cover. Axe, yeah, for what, as far as I know, there have been no official artistic depictions of an Andalite in any capacity at this point in the series. Right. The first time anyone will have ever seen an Andalite drawn
Huh.
is on the cover of the next book.
Now we did see maybe I think this might have been from a different edition or something, but didn't
Hmm.
that messed up illustration with the lobster Marco wasn't Axe in that picture as an
Was he?
Andalite? I think he was, but
Huh.
I don't know if that was. I think that wasn't. That might have even been drawn later. Like I don't know what that was from.
Yeah, because I think that was from like I don't know the Italian version or something, so that
Oh,
may
you know
not
what?
have been out
Oh,
yet.
I'm looking at it. I believe he is in it, but he's like I think he was coming out of human. I don't know. They're all half lobster. I don't know. There's only 3 boys, right? Pictured here is
Yeah, so it's got to.
Marco,
Yeah,
Jake, and it must be Axe
yeah,
because it's
those were the
biased as a
three
bird.
guys who were there. So
So yeah, one of them is Axe. However, I will say he doesn't. It looks like it's just a human transforming into a lobster. So maybe
mm,
I don't know.
mm.
It doesn't look like an Andalite, which doesn't make sense though because he can't transform directly from one to the other. So I'm not sure
All of
what the
his fur
intention was.
slooped in, so now he looks kind of humanish.
Yeah, I guess that was the idea.
Uh,
So I was kind of half right on that one. So
yeah,
you
and
still may be right.
I know but like I know the Japanese editions have like illustrations, but those definitely weren't out when this was published. So
Right.
yeah, so
Okay.
what Axe actually looks like is still kind of a mystery. It's up to the imagination at this point.
Wow. Wow. Maybe so. This cover is I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah. No, it's just like you got the four of them, and instead of having the weird morphing stages, where you got all the strange second, third, middle faces, uh, it's just kind of like they're split down the middle like Two Face, and one side's an animal, one side's a human. Sure, like they're here.
I will say this looks like it maybe could have been an early basis for the new revisions of. I feel like those
Mm,
covers sort of have this similar, just like a square with a face in it.
yeah, but worse, and this one is not that good either.
Yeah, the wolf Marco I think is particularly weird looking, but
Yeah,
uh,
his eyes aren't lined up as well.
yeah, it's a little unsettling. Now the inside cover, I like
Yeah.
the inside cover.
Yeah, there's so the cutout in the front actually is just like a little star thing, and it's straight on the Escafil device, because on the inside we've got the morphing cube, the Escafil device, and it's like shiny and reflective in print. I don't know if you're
Oh
getting that in the way you're
no!
seeing it. So it's got
Wow.
a little shiny thing in the middle from the outside, and then when you open it up, yeah, we've got this blue box, and then we've got five hands coming in to touch it, and they're all like animal hands, like furries. They're not like half human, half animal the way a morph would be. They're like if you were drawing your fursona. There's a tiger hand and a bear hand, and I guess Tobias's claw talon hand and a wolf hand, and then Cassie has a fly hand, which I don't know who has a fly as their fursona, but maybe Jeff Goldblum. But
Yeah, that's right. It's so weird, and also I love that the tiger tail is also in the corner for some reason. They're like we have some empty space down there, throw the tail in, and the I don't know the tiger hand especially just makes me think of Thundercats or something. It really is. It's a furry. It's a furry hand, as he said.
yeah. uh,
That's all that needs to be said about that.
yeah, there's not that much else going on this inner cover, but
I do think maybe this is an opportunity to discuss the title of this book, which I mean could have been the title of the first book. Doesn't really have much relevance in particular to this book more than any other does. I
yeah,
don't
they
think.
uh they morph.
Like, yeah, every book could be called the Andalite's Gift if you wanted it to be. It doesn't really. It's
Yeah,
not like.
I mean, if this is your starting point, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm kind of with you. I think this was intended to be a second entry point into the series, because then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, the Andalite's Gift, they morph. That's cool and new to you because you haven't read one of these before.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just noticing that Megamorphs #1 on the cover is set in thought speak.
Yes, it is.
It's
That's
got
true.
the brackets, so that's fun.
Yeah, Megamorphs #1.
Oh, is that how thought speak sounds?
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, okay. Are we ready to move on?
Oh, I did want to mention, while we're on the cover, this book does not have any flips in the pages. Normally, when you flip the pages, you
Ah.
see somebody morph. This one has no flip, which sucks, and they should have done something about that.
Yeah, 0 stars.
Yeah, they could have had a
Boo.
dust cloud turning into a monster. Minor spoilers, but that would have been a cool little flip for the bottom they
Wow.
could have done. They didn't do it.
Yeah. They could have had a truck crashing into a mailbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of options from this book.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. Well, now I think I mean, this is a new type of book, so there had to be a little bit more preamble, but
Right, right.
now I think we've effectively fulfilled the
Yes.
quota of not actually saying anything of substance before getting to the plot.
Right. So starting off on the first page of the book, on the dedication, it says for Gene Fievel, Craig Walker, and Tanya Alicia Martin, who who morph my scribbles into books. And this is, I think, the first dedication not
Wow.
for Michael, who I believe is Michael Grant.
Wow. Well, as a special surprise, we do have all three of those people on as guests today.
So I did look these people up. Gene Fievel, not
I
sure how
really
to
thought
pronounce
that
it.
this was that you were just joking. That you
No,
were like,
no, I'm
would
not.
it
I
be
actually
funny
did
if
look this up because I was
we,
interested.
how funny would it be if we talked about the dedication now? Of course, we're not going to do that.
No, I'm gonna do it. So no, I looked these people up. Gene Fievel, I guess, was
Gene
the Scholastic.
Fievel.
Well, it's Feiwel.
That
Is
is
it
a
Fievel?
that's a fake name. He's under witness protection. Nobody's named Gene
It's a
Fievel.
woman, John. Please don't misgender her.
Oh, I thought it was Gene.
Oh
It's
no.
it's Jean. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But she was the publisher at Scholastic and who published the books. Tanya Alicia Martin was the editor for Animorphs. I found both these people on LinkedIn, so I know it's them. And I did not find for sure who Craig Walker was, but there was a senior editorial director at Scholastic who is responsible for the creation of Magic School Bus called Craig Walker, and I'm assuming that's him.
Wow.
But I can't link him directly to Animorphs for sure.
Well, I take back what I said about this being a shorter episode. but I'm glad that you put this mystery to bed, and I hope that you send your credentials to all these people on LinkedIn.
I think in the future, in almost every book, if somebody is dedicated on the 2 page and it's not Michael, then it's the ghostwriter. But I'm not positive about that. I'm going to keep an eye out for it, though.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm very interested already.
We all are. We all are.
Yeah. Are we?
We're ready. We're ready.
We're ready.
Please,
Okay, I guess we can get to page 1 now.
Yes, that would be great.
All right. So, the plot proper. They're all in Cassie's barn. We don't have like a crazy morph plot to start this one off. We're just going to start off in Cassie's barn and talk about what's going to happen in this book. Rachel has signed up to go to a 2-day gymnastics camp type thing. She signed up for this before she became an Animorph. So she didn't know that she was going to have to be around to fight Yeerks. And she's not sure if she should go to it or not. Melissa's going. She already told Melissa she wasn't going. But all the Animorphs are saying, you know what, just go on your stupid 2-day trip. Like, it's fine. Whatever. Meanwhile, Marco is upset because Jake and Cassie have been invited to a pool party, and he was not invited. So they're all hanging out in the barn, and this is basically what they're talking about.
Riveting.
Yeah, we jump forward a little bit, and we see Axe, Marco, and Tobias together without Jake and the girls. Because Marco is going to sneak into this pool party as a mouse and spy on her. This is his plan, and he's blackmailing Axe into doing it with him because Axe has fleas and he needs flea powder that Marco is going to give him. So this is the setup to the plot of this book, which is very different from normal, because normally they start off with like, the Yeerks have done this and we're going to do this, plan to kill it. In this book, it's Rachel's going to go to a camp. Marco's going to sneak into a pool party. Woohoo! Fun teen shenanigans.
Yeah,
right?
I do like that. That's fun, and I wish that the books had more of that, because I like
Yes.
seeing just their normal lives.
Yeah, whenever they do it, it's great. 100%.
The first, like right off the bat, my impression of this was just how at this point, how much exposition they're now required to give and how they managed to cram it into such a short span of pages is ridiculous. It's just, there's just so much that they have to explain. And it kind of, the thing is, they even dole it out. Like almost like 25% of this book is exposition, just divided over multiple chapters.
Yeah. Again, this is heavier than it needed to be. Most of the books will just back off on explaining anything they don't need to explain. But
well, I did notice that the one thing that I feel like they didn't even touch, because I think they were just like, ain't nobody got time for that, is the Elemist.
Yeah,
They're,
yeah, yeah.
they're like, listen, we're not getting into that.
Yeah, not worth it. We don't need to talk about the Elemist right now.
So that was good. And I mean, okay, I got just a couple things about this. Surprisingly, I have more to say about this opening scene where basically nothing happens. I don't know why.
No, that's not surprising at all. That is normal for us. That's where we talk about everything.
I think it's because as the book goes on, I just get tired and I just stop taking as many notes. In the beginning, I'm like, I must scrutinize every detail.
No, that's just because at the ending, it's like stuff's happening and that's all that's happening. Whereas here, it's like, well, nothing's happening. That means the characters are saying interesting stuff.
Well, this is a thought that I've had for a couple of books now. That Axe doesn't come to these meetings in the barn. That's like almost always is explicitly mentioned because of he doesn't like being in human morph or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she's just going, 6 characters is too many to write for in one scene. He didn't want to come,
Yeah,
like
I feel like Axe shows up more often in the future, but maybe not. But
yeah, feels like a little bit like an excuse, but I can't blame him.
for
Uh,
sure.
also, I want to say so. There's a part where Tobias is really mad that Cassie is trying to save an injured crow.
Yeah, Tobias and his bird racism once again.
It's out of control. His bird
It is.
racism is out of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on the subject of this crow, there's a on this in the same part, Tobias, who is racist against crows,
Mm-hmm.
thought speaks to the crow and says, "Yeah, I'm looking at you, crow." And
Yeah.
they make a point of saying, obviously, the crow did not understand thought speak, but can the crow hear thought speak? Did this crow, who can't comprehend it, just hear a mysterious voice in its dumb bird brain, and now it's having some kind of an existential crisis because it doesn't understand what that was?
Now, I'm not sure about that because thought speech transcends language, right? Like, if an Andalite shows up on Earth and they don't understand English because their universal translator isn't working, they can't understand what we're saying because we're speaking English and they don't speak it. But they can talk to us and we'll understand them just fine because it's like psychic. So, like, we'll just hear the words as we would have heard them. Um, so that's I wonder if you speak to a crow, the crow would hear it in crow language, but crows don't have a conception of language. That's a very deep philosophical question. We can maybe we'll call up Noam Chomsky about this one and ask him what he thinks about what the crow heard on
Maybe,
our next
yeah.
podcast. Be our
Good
guest.
idea. Good idea. I'll reach out. He'll probably do it. And unless you're a whale, then the whales are psychic, so whales can project images and ideas into your
Right,
mind.
I guess. It's like how the Navi talk to them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All
That
right.
was just my question.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I did. There was a mention also I noted of Melissa Chapman here. So
There was a mention.
At least we get a little tiny bit of lip service that Rachel is still friends with her, even though she doesn't appear in the stories.
She does exist for sure. There's a lot of good Marco moments here.
Yeah.
I like when Marco asks Rachel why she doesn't dress more like Xena more often.
Yeah.
I like when Cassie asks if someone strong can help her carry things, and Marco goes, "Oh, my back! A sudden shooting pain."
Yeah, he rules.
I like the part where he's trying to explain about to Axe because he says maybe Darlene, the girl who's having the pool party, maybe she didn't invite him because she likes him, and Axe doesn't understand, and he explains, not like. I like you, Axe, but I don't like you. There's like, and then there's like.
Yeah,
he's pretty good at the beginning here.
Yeah, no, there's great stuff. I mean, I'm loving his pranks. I'm loving his shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about his prank here.
He's cool as hell. Oh well, I don't remember. Do do they discuss it in this one? In this
I mean, this is the reason that he wasn't invited to the pool party because of what
right,
he did
right.
last time he was there.
Yeah, because he threw a baby Ruth bar into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a little something
Uh-huh.
else.
He caddyshacked her.
Pretty funny, Marco. Also, does he call himself the cute one at one point?
Yeah, he says, I'm the. I have this written down. He describes all the characters. He says, I'm the smart, cute one. Jake's the bossy one. Cassie's the nice one. Rachel is the stupidly brave one. And Tobias is a bird.
That sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
That sums it up. Now, maybe I spoke too soon because I do have a section here highlighted where Cassie says she has a dream
Mm-hmm.
in and says there's something I don't even know what it is, and it asks me to make a choice. In the dream, I have to decide who lives and who dies. I thought maybe that was of subtle reference to the Elemist.
Yeah, so this stupid dream, right? It kind of sucks and is unnecessary, I feel. Cuz like yeah, she has this dream and then she has this like character arc over the story and the dream is supposed to like tie into it or introduce it, but like it's not really explored. It's not really described in detail. The arc works entirely without the dream. Like it kind of feels like Applegate's just kind of overusing uh the dream here to be like, well, we can't have Cassie ruminate on it because we don't have her perspective, so we'll just give her a dream. Remember I gave Jake that dream? And it does feel like there's an Elemist thing going on there, but it also kind of feels like if there was an Elemist thing that would either pop up this book or like that dream would have meaning throughout the series in some way. I don't know. It just kind
Yeah,
of feels
maybe.
there. But
I
it
just thought
is
it was.
Elemisty.
Yeah, I just thought it was them being like, "Hey, if you read the last book, then you know, but if you
Yeah.
didn't, don't worry about it." Just a
Yeah, that
little.
could be. I mean, rereading this, I got to that dream, which I didn't remember, even though I've read this a million times, and I was just like, "What the hell is there Elemist stuff in this book?" And then I was like, "Oh no, it's just nothing." I mean, I guess it's could be
Yeah,
Elemist
I mean, it's a
stuff. I don't.
little. The Elemist didn't exactly make them choose who lives and who dies. It's not,
Yeah,
but like that's maybe if it is supposed to be a reference, it was just easier to say
yeah.
that.
It almost feels like this is just a regular dream that Cassie is having because she had the experience of actually being asked that by a weird thing.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it makes sense. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where are we
Oh
at?
yeah, the other thing is that so this camp that Rachel's going to, this gymnastics camp. So she signed up for this before they even started being Animorphs. Which again just kind of they haven't really been doing this for very long, have they?
Yeah, what's it been
Like
like a month?
yeah, I mean, I guess
3
in
or 4
theory it would have
months?
been like maybe 6 months. But no, but it wouldn't be because it's going faster than that. But yeah, it seems like it feels almost like this is summer and this is like a summer camp thing. And maybe she signed up in like
Hmm.
January or February and maybe they started in like March or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to figure. It does feel like I was wondering if this book wasn't maybe summer vacation.
Mm.
Because, there's the pool party, Rachel's going away for like a weird course camp overnight thing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that makes sense.
They don't
Chapman's
talk about
out
school.
partying, looking at books.
Yeah, I
He
don't
would be at work otherwise,
right.
schooling.
That's teachers live at the school.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I guess we've introduced the plot of this book. So, uh, Rachel's gonna go off and do her camp thing, but, Jake and Cassie go off to Darlene's party, and, Marco comes in as a mouse with Axe also as a mouse. So they have infiltrated Darlene's pool party as mice, and Darlene is not talking about Marco like he hoped that she would be. Um, so he uses thought speech to say Marco in her head and maybe get her started on him. But then she and her friends all start shit talking him instead of talking about how funny and cute he is. So he starts chasing her around as a mouse, and she's like, "Eek, a mouse!" And then there's pandemonium at the pool party, right? Everybody's running around. Some kid Hans is trying to like stomp on him. And Jake and Cassie figure out that this must be Marco and Axe, and Jake is pissed off. So they're trying to keep the kids from killing him. Axe and Marco run down to the basement and demorph. And as they uh, do, this huge frickin' tornado dust monster of like whirling teeth and claws comes down and shreds the house, and like literally like tears the whole, like it forms out of the wind into a huge flying monster, shreds the house into tiny bits, and is about to kill Axe and Marco, and then just kind of like stops and disappears. And the particles go off toward the woods on their own, which Tobias sees because he's kind of spotting them. So this is our first scene here. Now the tornado monster seems like the more interesting part, but actually, for me, this whole pool party scene is much more fun and enjoyable and memorable.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. I mean, the mouse stuff is pretty funny.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I mean, what's interesting is we don't get Marco's perspective until later. We just
Mhm.
know that there are mice there. I mean, you figure out what's happening pretty quickly, but you don't
Yeah,
know that he like thought spoke to her brain and stuff like that. Which
right.
him and Axe, the pool party shenanigans feels so much like an '80s movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's
good.
like Revenge of the Nerds or something. It's,
Oh
only with
yeah,
a less non-consensual sex.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but but
They
it's
they go
funny.
out of their way to kind of lampshade how those like because Jake says like Darlene's family must be loaded because there's like 40 or 50 kids at this pool party. I feel like that's kind of like that same that like we got to set the scene at the 80s movie. Oh yeah, every kid in the neighborhood is here, and you're just like,
Right.
the hell afforded this freaking house?
Yeah, yeah. And then you get the dust cloud. And I was I did think the introduction of the dust cloud was interesting. I felt like this is a sufficiently weird thing that you is pretty mysterious early on. You
Mm,
you don't know what it is, and it's not
hmm.
just a Yeerk doing a thing, at least that
Yeah.
we know of. So it's I thought it felt this book almost to me felt like if you were gonna make, I mean, at this point in the series, I don't know, like an Animorphs movie.
Hmm.
You this feels like maybe one of the more, again, I guess I've used the word cinematic already, but it feels like this is like if Animorphs were a TV show, this might be the movie that comes out before you go back to the regular episodes. It feels a little bit more like an event, which sounds ridiculous to say even when we just had books where insane shit happens that's like much more important and
Mm,
significant. But for some reason this it has the feeling of more of a like, oh man, like something's coming this week on a special
yeah.
episode. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I feel that because I do think Animorphs has the vibe of an episodic kind of kids show. And the Megamorphs do kind of have a vibe of like these are the weird, like, as you said, it's the movie, but what makes the movie special for the episodic shows is that you don't need to watch it. Like it's
Right,
also there.
exactly.
Um
Yeah.
Unlike the Chronicles, which also have the feel of movies, but they have the feel of like you need to watch this one, kind of. They're a
Right.
very different kind of beast.
Yeah, sounds like the Veleek. Oh, we don't know its name yet.
We
Sorry.
don't know its name yet. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a secret. I mean, the dust monster's called a Valik. That'll just be easier to say. But
It will be a lot easier to say. Yeah.
yeah, I actually, when I was taking notes, realized I like went back and edited out the word Valik because I'd just been typing it in the whole time without realizing it. And I was like, I don't know if I should try to keep up the hidden knowledge
Nah,
here.
it's fine.
Doesn't seem worth it.
Now I have to say it's a little tricky for me looking through the book because of the way it's laid out. I'm having trouble keeping track of where we are in the story because there's so much overlap. But
Yes. Yeah, it jumps back and forth a lot, and it seemed a lot easier to just kind of like lump similar topics together than to say, okay, this chapter, and then this chapter, and then this chapter. Um, but I should have given you a scene list at some
Oh
point that
yeah,
gives you, yeah, it gives you the chapters that are relevant to each section
yeah,
well.
yeah. I'm looking at it. It's just it's still I'm struggling to look at my highlights, but it's fine. I'm making it through.
Okay, okay, you can do it. I believe in you. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun party.
yeah. Oh, I did have a question about this part, which is Tobias at this when he's kind of spotting for them. He mentions seeing a Cooper's hawk flying by. Um, I don't know what a Cooper's hawk is. It makes me wonder, did Tobias research all of these different kinds of birds before he got stuck? Uh, does he ask Cassie, like, I saw this bird, what's it called? Like, do you think Tobias ever sees, like, just makes up his own names for wildlife because he can't go read a book to figure out, what it is?
Well, he's got great eyesight, so I think he's just hanging out at the library and
Looking in
spying
the
on people.
window?
Yeah, like they're going for the bird book. They're going for the bird book. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. It is funny because they're like, oh, he's a bird, so he learns all about birds. Like, how does he? He can't. He's not researching
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It seems like he might be all like, yeah, I call that one a Marco hawk because they're jackasses or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he thinks. He hates. What birds does he like besides other hawks? He hates them
I
all.
mean, he respects some of them. He just doesn't. I mean, like what? He thinks that crows are bullies. Golden eagles will like kill him.
He doesn't
He's
like
like scared.
owls.
Yeah, owls and falcons are scary. Uh, Seagulls are like unrefined and gross. Geese are obnoxious. He's got like all these different.
What a dick. He ate a small snake also in this part, which
Oh
is
yeah,
just I don't know, man. He's really embraced this lifestyle. Mice are one thing, but to eat a snake that's just seems that's
yeah.
foul to me.
Eh?
Nope,
Eh?
it wasn't
No, that
intended.
was good. Oh man. Oh man, that was really good.
Okay, glad you liked it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, but he's the bias. He's hanging out before everything gets destroyed.
Yeah. So that's those guys. That's what they're all doing. But Rachel's doing something at the same time in some chapters that are interwoven with these. Um, which is that Rachel, before she leaves for her gymnastics thing, she turns into an eagle to go and see Tobias. Because she's sweet like that. So she goes flying off toward Tobias, and she gets mobbed by some crows and knocked out. Those dang crows. And when she comes back into consciousness, she's like half bird and half human, and she has amnesia. Rachel has amnesia in this book. And she freaks out. She starts morphing back, and as she's doing it, the dust cloud comes to Valik, comes for her too. And she's like, "Oh my god, like what the hell is this bird thing that I'm halfway? What the hell is me changing? What the hell is this dust cloud coming for me?" She starts running, and it's ripping up everything and tearing things. She runs across a street, and the Valik kind of gets into like a scuffle with a truck and destroys the truck, and all this things go flying. And then after all that, it kind of seems to not be able to recognize Rachel anymore. It doesn't really know what it's doing, and it leaves again. And Rachel is freaked out, so she runs off into the woods because she's like, I don't know what's trying to kill me, but something is, so I better get away from everybody.
Yeah, this is another thing that makes this feel like you said, it's that perfect mix of feels significant but won't matter in a week. Rachel having amnesia, which is a good little twist, and it's a great thing to explore. Of what if you had these weird powers and you got amnesia, you'd be pretty freaked out and be like, what the fuck am I? At the
Hmm.
same time, I guess amnesia is a pretty cliche and dumb story trope, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was, I mean, maybe it's a little frustrating because you know it's gonna get undone, and it's
Yeah.
you know that it doesn't really make sense because that's not really how amnesia works. But I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I mean it's fun as the as the reader to kind of have that I don't know, dramatic irony where she's like, "What's going on?" and you're like, "I know what's going on. Oh man, she's going to figure it all out." Um but at the same time that also means there's a whole lot of like words in this book devoted to Rachel going, "Huh? What?" that are just kind
Right.
of okay, sure. Like I do think that this plot would be ridiculously great if we didn't know what the hell Rachel was either. If we were just like I woke up
Hmm.
and I was half bird.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck? I changed back into a person cuz I was
Oh
like
man.
I'm not both. I don't know. How did I do that? What's going on?
That would be a great movie premise, like the Born Identity, but they have mutant powers, and you just
Mm,
discover that as it goes.
that would be pretty
Oh,
good.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I do think it's good that the fact that she is separated from everybody and out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
That's also part of what makes it so good is that
Mhm.
it's a survival story, but if she had her memories, she would just leave. It would be
Yeah.
very easy. But now it becomes this really becomes kind of the driving force of the book besides figuring out what the Valik is, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
This she kind of does get the B plot.
Yeah. Um and it is so it almost feels like there's a bit of a PSA in Rachel's dangerous situation here too cuz she makes a whole point of saying I didn't even think about the fact that I was in a dangerous situation because the camp people think that I'm not coming, but my parents and friends think that I am going there. So, if I were to just disappear, nobody would look for me. So it does almost feel like there's a little bit of a "Hey kids, be careful out there" kind of thing when I'm reading
Hey
it.
kids.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting because she really is like nobody is looking for her. Nobody realizes she's gone, and she
Yeah,
doesn't have
yeah,
any backup. And there
yeah,
is a monster after her. And even if
yeah,
nobody's, if she doesn't know whether it's safe to go back into civilization, she's also like she's either got to go back in and then who knows what's after her, or she's got to stay in the woods and she's literally in like a morphing outfit with no shoes in the woods at night. Like
yeah. It's
that's
good.
dangerous on its own.
It also, yeah, drives home just how dangerous morphing can be
Mhm.
without any yerks or anything. It's just you can just run into a tree by accident or whatever.
Yeah, I mean
It's
imagine if she was knocked out for 2 hours and she was just trapped half bird.
yeah. Yeah, that almost happens because when she comes
Yeah.
to, isn't she a bird when she wakes up? Yeah, so she
Well
has to
she
remember how to unmorph first.
she's as she's losing consciousness, she's thinking to herself, "Oh shit, morph, morph now, so you don't get stuck as a
Oh
bird while
yeah.
you're unconscious." And when she comes to, she's half bird.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Fortunately, Rachel gets saved by her love of shopping. That's her.
That is
That's
true.
what saves her.
That that is what's going to save her. Yes. Rachel. Rachel's going through the woods, and she finds this old cabin, and it's filled with all these old Goodwill style
By
clothes.
the way, was is
Yeah.
I am I was I reading too much into it, or am I remembering something else? Was this? I thought at first this was maybe the cabin where they kept Jake when he had a Yeerk in him, or is that a
She
different cabin?
I think it was a different cabin, but I'm not sure. Like Rachel has a flash when she sees the cabin and is like, I've been to this place, or maybe a place that's a lot like it recently. So it's
Okay.
not clear if this is the cabin where they kept Jake or not, I
Okay.
think. But it could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, it's filled to the brim with old clothes, and there's this crazy lady who lives there, who's like, the clothes are mine, they're all mine. And Rachel does this weird shopping role play and she's like, yes, this is your shop, how much for the clothes, here you go, and hands her like a piece of bark as a credit card. Um, Great portrayal of mental illness here, I think. But she manages to get some clothing and shoes. And the lady is babbling on, and we realize that this crazy lady is an ex-controller. She used to have a Yeerk in her head, and she is crazy now, right? So, for some reason. Um, so as they're going on, she starts becoming suspicious of Rachel. She's like, what are you? What's going on here? And thinking, oh, maybe Rachel's the Yeerk's coming back for me, and she opens up like a trap door and throws Rachel into this like dirt basement thing and locks her in there, and then starts burning down the cabin with Rachel inside it.
And also under in the basement are a bunch of Yeerks. Like,
Hmm? What?
yeah, aren't they?
Are they?
Oh, so you know what? Never mind. She has a flashback to a Yeerk pool. Is what it
Oh,
is.
yeah. Rachel is having like continuous little flashbacks to scenes that have happened throughout the story.
I missed the flash sound effect, and when I first read this, I just thought
Mm,
that she was like somehow capturing and holding Yeerks down there or something,
mm.
which would have been cool, but I guess that's not what happened. Uh, but otherwise, I love this crazy Yeerk lady. She's good.
Yeah,
She's
she's great.
fantastic. It's
She
it's
is quite good.
this is kind of the first real consequence we've seen of Yeerks that isn't just them manipulating people. Like you get to see, and I feel like an interesting exploration of what might happen if Yeerks were around long enough. Eventually, someone would escape or whatever somehow, and they might just go nuts from the after effects of it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because like it's possible that she just had the Yeerk and then like she tried to re-enter normal society and couldn't because everyone's like, who's this person raving about aliens? It's also possible that maybe this lady's Yeerk died from when they blew up the Kandrona, right? And the Yeerk starved. Because
Yes.
like Jake had to go through like the fugue state, right? Where the all the memories from all the Yeerk bonded with his own, and it was this insane traumatic experience. So maybe the fugue drove her mad or something because she'd been with the Yeerk so much longer. It's not clear, but that's a full possibility.
Yeah, that I think that's my head canon.
Hmm.
And so yeah, she's a good scary character. I think that's just a really fun concept, and like you said, a great depiction of mental illness. And
Oh
uh,
yeah.
I also thought this was yet another adventure game puzzle of you have to find the correct item to get the lady to give you the clothes you need to survive.
It's
How
the
can
piece
you
of bark, yeah.
create a credit card out of what you have around? It's 100% that.
uh, there was a
Uh,
question, a very stupid question about this, which is that at some point Rachel says that she like duck walked over to something. Do you have any idea what that means?
is that like crab walking, but like a duck?
I don't know. Uh, I guess I could try to find it again, but yeah, she's just like looking around or something, and she's like, I duck walked over to the table or some. I don't.
Was she injured? Maybe was she like limping or something?
Maybe waddling.
Yeah, I guess waddling. I don't. Where's K.A. Applegate from? Is this some weird regional thing?
Hmm, that's a good question.
Yeah, is K.A. Applegate a secret Canadian or something?
Ew.
Hold on, now we have some listeners in Canada.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that. Wow, the great, wonderful nation of Canada. Yeah.
Well, this says the duck walk is a form of locomotion performed by assuming a low partial squatting position and walking forwards, maintaining the low stance. It is similar to stalking and prowling. It is most widely known as a stage element of guitar showmanship, popularized by rock and roll guitarist Chuck Berry. It is also a physical exercise commonly used in military training.
Maybe Applegate's a Chuck Berry fan.
I don't. But why would she do this? I don't.
Uh,
I don't
I
know,
don't
but
know.
yeah, I just glossed over that. I was like, yeah, sure, she's duck walked. I didn't think
Duck
about it.
walked him. It's good.
Oh man.
Having fun over there?
I'm having a lot of fun.
You sound like your soul just left your body.
No, it's just the duck walking took a lot out of me. But
Okay.
what happened? What happened next?
Well, it's more about what's kind of happening a little bit simultaneously in this book.
Fair.
Um,
Yeah, you're right.
but everyone other than Rachel and probably Axe, I don't remember if he's there. Actually, Tobias might not be there either. But they're all watching a news segment. Marco, Jake, and Cassie, at the very least, are watching a news segment about the Valik attack on the house, which, of course says, oh, it was a freak tornado, and some kids thought it was a monster, but it was just a tornado, and Marco's all mad. But then they also say, well, there was also another incident with a truck, and they show the area where it happened near where Rachel was, and they see Rachel there on the news in the background. And they're all like, uh-oh, isn't she supposed to be at camp? So Rachel calls Rachel's house, or Cassie calls Rachel's house, and they're like, yep, Rachel went to the camp. So, all right, they're going to go up and see what's going on, see if they can find Rachel, explore the area. So, Axe is coming up on his own. Tobias is flying up. Marco and Jake bus up there and get there first, and they start morphing Wolf to go see if they can track Rachel down.
Yeah.
And the Valik comes in and attacks them here.
Oh.
Oh no! So they run for it as wolves, and the Valik is after them. It's tearing through trees and trying to follow them, and it's getting closer and closer. And then they smell smoke from burning cabin, and the monster leaves and heads off toward the fire instead of them, and leaves them alone.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things are happening that they don't fully understand.
Yeah, a lot of monster attacks, and then just gives up for some reason we don't know why.
And Tobias is looking around for Rachel, and he's like, "Yeah, nothing's out here except a crazy lady in a cabin." So he
Yeah,
doesn't
I
think
think
to check
earlier
that.
on he at the party he's like, you got to be careful out there. I saw a eagle get mobbed by some crows. Like Tobias is seeing everything happening to Rachel. He just doesn't know.
It's almost like a funny,
Right.
like an intentional. A little. Sometimes this book feels a little bit like season 4 of Arrested Development, when
Mm.
they're like, they will show you like an episode, and then later on you see, like something will happen that you don't understand, and later on you're like, oh, it was George Michael was on the other side of that wall, and now it's funny in retrospect.
Mm.
It's sort of doing that thing here. This could be played as a comedy, I think, from a
Yeah.
certain perspective.
I mean, there's a lot of comedy in Animorphs.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of comedy in Animorphs.
Yeah, for sure. It is funny that no one died or was seriously hurt, and the house was insured, so there are no negative consequences to the Valik, as was reported on the news.
That's right.
This is good so far.
That's a plus. Yeah, good
A
job.
plus for sure. Ooh, and we get to see what noise the Valik makes when it eats through trees and stuff.
Oh,
Maybe we got that before, but I didn't write it down. It goes.
What is it?
It goes.
Oh my god. I don't know. I don't think that's going to pick up on the recording, but on my end you kind of got distorted towards the end there, and it was a little scary.
I'm a little Valikish. So.
Maybe you are. Maybe we're the Valiki boys.
Whoa.
There's
Whoa.
also a good sound here when Marco is morphing. I believe it's Marco, and he says Yibwarao. Or maybe Jake says that. I don't know. Somebody's morphing, and when they're wolf morphing, they say Yibwarao.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like when you're a wolf.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, you're gonna notice a trend, a theme, I think. The more we get into the second half of this book, which we're theoretically not even in yet,
Mhm.
But for me, I just have less and less to say as the rest
Yes.
of this book continues. Like
No.
I liked this book, but I don't know. Feel like I have far less to say about it than the other books.
Yeah, it's too just straightforward and normal. It's one of our first like really straightforward and normal books since maybe 2, and that was uh the second one. So it was a lot more to comment on.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I'm sorry to the listeners.
that's okay. They have to learn about all the
They-
plot lines that happen.
Now, did we get to it yet, or are we about to get to the first Acts chapter?
Yeah, we're gonna get the first Acts chapter in this next section here.
Okay.
If you do you have comments on Acts here?
No, it was more just that generally. I thought when after you can describe it, but I thought we should remark on the fact that it is our first POV of Acts.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so back at Rachel morphs into a bear to escape the fire. She doesn't really know how. She just wanted like strength to get out of the trapdoor thing and turned bear. Um, Axe on his way up sees the Valik and he thinks, "Uh oh, must be here for me," and I can't lead it to my friends. So he changes courses and runs toward the fire where Rachel is because he thinks maybe he can hide there. And so Rachel busts out of the cabin, and Axe and the Valik both show up. So we got Rachel, Axe, and the Valik at this burning cabin. Um, Rachel starts attacking it, and every time she hits it, it's kind of like hitting a wood chipper, right? Like she hits it, paw is gone. She hits it, a leg is gone. Um, Axe is like, oh, well, nothing I can do to save her. She's gonna die, but maybe if I morph into a bird, I can like follow it afterward and see where it goes. And as he starts morphing into a harrier, it shifts from attacking Rachel to him. But then instead of killing him, it wraps him up and carries him off. Um, and then, yeah, after all this is done, Rachel limps off toward a stream, morphs back toward human. Tobias, Jake, and Margot will all show up later, but they can't figure out, can't find hide nor hair of who was here, right? Can't track Rachel past the stream, can't track what happened to Axe. So,
Yeah,
this is our first Axe POV in this section.
yeah. It's a little bit underwhelming.
It is, yeah. It's not. It doesn't feel like They try to do something where he talks like kind of all stilted and not natural, but like this is not as good as his books are by a long shot,
Hmm.
including the next one. It feels a lot more like a rough draft of what they want an Axe book to maybe look like, but it's not fine tuned to me.
Hmm. Which is kind of a shame, but maybe it's good that they sort of got that draft out here so that it could be better for his official first full book.
Yeah.
I did like some of his lines early on. So first of all, he specifically says he is not one of the Animorphs. So he apparently does not, at least at this point, consider himself one of them. I guess Animorph right now in their lingo literally means a human who can turn into an animal, even though theoretically, the etymology of the word is just morph animal. That's all of them, but he doesn't see it that way, I guess.
Yeah, it's not that clear at this point, but it is one of the themes of the next book is kind of like Axe being like he's just a guy who's also here and he'll leave as soon as he gets the chance, but he doesn't have it while he's here. He's going to follow them because they're the only people he's got. But
When
he's
you say
not
the next
really.
book, you mean the next
Yeah,
Axe book or like the
the next
next book?
like the next book is an Axe book. Book 8.
Oh, oh, why did I think it was later on? Oh, I didn't realize it was next. Oh, okay.
No, right after this we do an Axe book. But
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. So when we get there, that's going to be like a bit major theme is him kind of being like, okay, let's like actually become part of the group. But yeah, it's every once in a while in these early parts, it'll kind of something will get thrown out there to remind you, oh yeah, I guess he's not quite part of the group. But then I don't know. He sort of feels like he should be.
It's like how Jake isn't the leader, but nobody thinks he should be or something. They're a non-committal groups. These Animorphs sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I did. He had some other funny lines I liked. He says Marco is afflicted by a condition the humans call sense of humor.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing we need more of in Axe chapters that we're missing right here.
And Axe and Marco are a great pair. I like them
Mhm.
together. And
Marco and anyone.
he's a little ornery that the humans just assume he knows the name of every alien that exists. It's like they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"What's that thing?" He's like, "I don't. What the fuck do you think I know? I don't know everything. I'm like 15, dude."
yeah, yeah. It's good.
So
We
that's
also
funny.
find out in his chapter, um, that I don't think they've said it yet, but we find out that by Andalite custom, because Visser 3 killed his brother, he has to kill Visser 3 or he will be dishonored. Um,
Yeah, I
so
don't know if that was explicitly said, but I definitely got that. He definitely wanted
yeah.
that vengeance. I
Yeah,
sensed.
there was a bit of implication around that, but I don't think it was explicit. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was like a sentence.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then we also you said this? They discovered what the thing likes, the Valik,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't even gonna bother, but Axe figured out why the Vleek's following them. I was gonna do it next bit because that's where we just find out everything about it. But
Yeah,
yes,
then
it's.
I guess just go into it then.
I mean, I guess I just one more thing about
Oh,
this
sure,
section that I wanted to say was Rachel. So Rachel at the beginning she morphs into a bear to fight this fire, right?
sure.
But she doesn't know that
Fight
she can
fire with
morph into a
bear,
bear, right?
right?
So like in theory, they always say like you have to focus on the animal. And she couldn't have been focusing on a bear because she didn't know that. So, like, it's interesting because, like, maybe you don't need to focus on the animal in particular. Like, maybe just like some kind of metaphorical idea of the animal. And for Rachel, like, the bear is powerful. So when she thinks power, she thinks bear. And so there's some connection there that lets her do that. I found that to be an
Uh,
interesting kind of idea here.
yeah, it could be that maybe it's kind of a subconscious instinct that there's a part of her that she's not even consciously aware of that is thinking about
Hmm.
the bear. She just can't fully access it
Hmm.
right now. I don't know. It's confusing because again, it's theoretically this is a technological what do you call it, enhancement that they have. So it does something to their DNA that it's not fully clear to me
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah, I mean, this is bordering on the like advanced technology is magic rule, for
Right.
sure. The Elemist is leaning all the way into that. In theory, as we'll find out in the Elemist Chronicles, there's pure scientific explanations for everything he does, but like, not really no. um, so, but this is sort of like that. I mean, also maybe you're right about her knowing on some level. Maybe that's how they've decided amnesia works in this book. Like she subconsciously knows.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be. Yeah, I think it's maybe both of those things.
Yeah. I don't know the rules of amnesia. I don't think this book does either. So
Somebody says Andalites are. Tobias says Andalites are tougher than they look. Don't Andalites look pretty damn tough?
yeah, yeah. They always say Andalites look oh so delicate and whatever. Oh, right until you see the tail, and then you're like, oh, that guy fucked me up.
Yeah. Even if I just see a regular horse, I'm like that thing will fuck me up.
Yeah. I
John
mean,
Wick might use that thing to kick me in the head.
God, the first time I actually saw a horse up close in person, I did not it did not occur to me, right? Because like I had done like pony stuff or whatever as a kid, but then in high school I dated a girl who lived on a farm, and like she had a dog, but like she also had a horse. So it's like, oh yeah, come meet my pet, and then you go out and it's like, oh my god, oh my god, it's so big. Like I knew intellectually how big a horse was, right? But when there's a horse right there and you're like and there's like not a fence and you're just there, oh my god. Like that thing could just kill you by like yeah, just by
Yeah,
like hitting you.
I mean, that thing could kill you, like, just using its giant horse dick.
Yeah. Mm, interesting.
S-
That's where your mind went.
well, I think if I didn't say that, the listeners would have been like, "Come on." We all we they were in their car shouting, "Horse dick! Come on, horse dick!"
Talk about the horse dick.
So I'm just giving giving the people what they want.
Yeah, makes sense. That's what
I
I
just,
wanted.
this episode just needed a little. When things are getting a little slow, I feel like we just got to inject a little bestiality into the proceedings.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, how long has it been since we've really talked about bestiality?
Too long, far too long.
Far, far too long. Uh,
Did we? Are we getting to the Cassie parts? Is that what's next? I don't know.
well, next
I
we got to
told
talk
you,
about what the Valik is,
I
right?
can't
then
figure
then we get some
out.
Cassie
Yeah,
parts.
I'm all over the place. It's like all scattered. So you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about what the Valik is, and then we'll do the Cassie parts.
Okay,
Because
great.
Cassie's also going to find out what the Valik is, so I'm just we'll do this part first, right?
Please.
So the monster takes Axe up into the blade ship, which is sitting in the atmosphere and not in space, because of course it's a Yeerk thing. And Visser 3 just exposits about the monster to Axe in like an 80s supervillain fashion. So we now know what it is, the Valik is a word that means pet in Yeerkish. It's he's
Yeah.
named his dog, effectively, or his cat. The Valik is from Saturn. Uh, it is made of a bunch of really teeny tiny creatures that can sense different kinds of energy. And then when it finds prey, the tiny creatures join together to make like a big thing. But Visser 3 has altered this one so that it senses only morphing energy, but it feeds only on the ship's engines. So he's trained it like a hunting dog to go after morphers and bring them to him so that it can get fed. So that's what's going on. It's hunting them. Whenever they morph, it can sense the morphing energy, whatever that means, and it can find them. So that's what's going on with the Valik. That's what it is.
Yeah. So first of all, this thing just lives on Saturn.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of our telescopes have ever caught it. I guess we
I
just
mean-
thought it was a dust cloud, or that. What
I
it
mean, you
is?
probably wouldn't catch it.
I don't know
You couldn't
how
see this thing from orbit. Well, maybe
science
you could
works.
with new.
Yeah, like a Hubble doesn't look. I don't know what something's not
No, you wouldn't.
looking out there. I don't know.
The Valik is at most 50 feet across. Okay, you're not gonna.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Maybe if one of our probes just stayed in orbit around and Saturn's big, right? Maybe it lives like 100 miles under the surface of the atmosphere. I don't know.
Okay, you're right. You're right. But
It
it's
could be.
interesting that they're just like, yeah, just casually drop. Yeah, there's intelligent. Like maybe there's
It's
some.
not intelligent.
Well, I don't know how there's life that's not just a
Yeah.
plant. You know
Yes.
what I mean, intelligence to the extent that like it wants to eat and reproduce,
Yeah,
presumably,
Yeah,
it's
like intelligent like a crocodile's intelligent. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So like, just in our galaxy and shit, there's stuff
Yeah.
there. All right, cool.
No, that is fun, right? All of Visser 3's morphs are from, the third moon of the fourth planet of a dying star or whatever he said in some lost corner of the galaxy. This one's from Saturn.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that. Its name is Pet.
Mhm.
That's stupid. That's
That's what
worse than
Visser
naming
3
your
named
cat. That's naming your pet.
Well, it didn't have a name for what it was,
Why not? Name it. Not call it something. I don't know.
It's his
just
pet.
now that's
Are
the
you going to
Valik.
question Visser 3?
I also don't understand. I'm just confused about how the language works and what's being translated and what's not. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
don't it seems like to the Yeerks, they call it the Valik, but aren't they just hearing him say the pet? I don't, I don't know. I don't know how any of that works, but that is nothing compared to the how little sense it makes to me that he programmed the Valik like a computer? Like he like hacks into it to change its body chemistry. It's what is this tech that the Yeerks have? He doesn't just train it. He says
Yeah.
he like programs
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, in theory, he goes in there and alters it on like a basic genetic level to just function differently, which I guess is must be if you can do morphing technology, which they can't, but like this must be a lesser step down. So I guess they have the tech to go in there and do some little
They
genetic
have
manipulations.
very specific gene splicing tech that you could just like. Why aren't they using this to just like make every Yeerk not need Kandrona rays or something? Like,
Yeah, no, I mean like this is a little bit easier than some of those other things because the Valik seems to be like a really simple life form. So like you could probably just like alter a couple of molecular structures and get it to where it needs to be on this.
but are
Um
they the Valik as we understand it is multiple things?
right,
Or
but any given one of them is extremely simple.
but did he? I'm just wondering. Did he like take one at a time and put them into this a device and alter them? Like, how does this
I
work?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe he made one and cloned it.
Does this tech come up again in it? Because it feels like this is introducing a potentially extremely powerful technology that could just alter everything that ever happens in these
It
books. Like it's
it
crazy.
does. And they do talk about like alterations, like genetic alterations and like weird finagling around in the gene pool at times, but yeah, this specific instance isn't brought up
I mean,
again,
this is a whole like
really.
this is entire science fiction series are predicated on the concept of gene manipulation. Like
Yeah.
they really just throw everything in
Yeah.
there.
I mean, look, it's going to be important, but this particular one's just in here. It doesn't this one doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Then that clears that up for me. That was all my issues with the Valik.
Yeah, good old Valik. So yeah, now we know what the Valik is. We can talk about Cassie finally. What's Cassie
Oh,
doing in this book?
finally, Cassie
Unless you
gets to do something.
yeah. Unless you just want to skip these parts and maybe be done with it. No, Cassie is out at the mall. Because while Jake and Marco and the others and were gonna go off and track her as wolves, Cassie has been sent to check all of Rachel's usual haunts. So she's off at the mall, of course, because that's where Rachel would be. So Cassie sees Chapman walking around. She sees him go into a bookstore, and she decides to morph into a fly to go spy on him. So she's buzzing around him as a fly, and he meets up with this other Yeerk, and they have their little covert Yeerk meeting. The other Yeerk is on the police force doing cover-up work, and they are getting run ragged trying to cover for this stupid monster. They're exasperated with the whole deal, but Chapman basically says, "Listen, you don't get to tell Visser 3 not to use his Philique, right? Like he's gonna use the Philique, and you're gonna deal with it." So Cassie learns about the Valik. She learns it's a Yeerk thing. She learns its name. She learns that it hunts people who morph, and she goes off to report back.
Sorry, I'm still hung up. Like, what is the code you have to enter in to make it like morphing energy? I just don't. It's just I
Well,
don't understand this concept.
I mean, this sort of makes sense, right? Because like it's going to have some sort of sensory organ that picks up on different, I don't know, wavelengths, so to speak, of energy. And if you just change that molecular structure to only respond to very certain wavelengths, then maybe it only hits morphing tech. Like this is on a fundamental level, this is like way simpler than anything else you could be doing to this thing biologically. It makes sense to me.
All right, I guess if the morphing energy is what, as you said, a quote unquote frequency, and they can just like tune something. I guess maybe it makes sense.
Now, I have no idea what morph energy means.
You
That I
know,
don't know
you
what the
you I
fuck
guess you
that is.
produce some energy when you morph.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's fine. Sure.
but like I kind of get it maybe. You can make it make sense if you must. which is better than some of the things in the series.
So Cassie, this is where they kind of give Cassie her little mini arc for the book, which is it's just not like that great, but it's something for her to do.
Hmm.
She gets to feel like a coward even though she's not, it's whatever.
Yeah. 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 She's
It's all
unsure of
right.
herself.
Yeah.
Um, this fly segment, this is one of those scenes that like I remember as a kid, and I'm always like, yeah, the fly scene where like they land on Chapman and listen to him, and they're talking about how flies are so maneuverable and it's so cool to be a fly because they can zip around in all directions. Yeah, I remember this scene. And then, what book was that from? I don't know, some book. But
This
this is
book,
one of these
baby.
early fly scenes. Maybe this was the first fly scene I read. I don't remember.
Wow, probably was. I do wonder if Chapman, like, it must be, I feel, really boring to be a Yeerk controller sometimes, that you just, to keep up appearances, you gotta be like, oh, let's just go browse Barnes and Noble. Like, the Yeerk
Yeah.
doesn't give a shit about any of this. Like, oh, what's the latest bestseller? I don't know. Pick this up. Christ, fucking humans.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular situation, he's out here to do his covert meeting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But
yeah.
still, they do say that they have to do these in person because they don't trust their communicators anymore. Not because of the Animorphs, but because they think Visser One might be spying on them. Um, and they have a whole thing where Chapman's like, "Yeah, well, Visser One let the Andalite bandits go, right?" And the other Yeerk's like, "Can we prove that?" And Chapman says, "Well, no. If we could prove that, right, Visser One would be being tortured to death by the Council of 13. But we know she did it." So like there's still some infighting going on here.
Yeah, yeah, which is pretty good. We also get another direct, I guess the first direct evidence that the destruction of the Kandrona affected them. They're rationing Kandrona rays.
Mm-hmm.
And Visser 3 is looking for excuses to eliminate hungry Yeerks.
Oh, yeah.
Also, there's talk he may be demoted to Visser 4 or even 5. That's
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
like that.
So this is where Chapman also has the line where he says, "If Visser 3 loses rank because of your failure, take my advice,
Oh.
kill yourselves."
Yes.
It's a great line.
Yeah, no, that is good. It's dark and it's good. Visser 3 is scary. Although, I mean, I don't know, all the times we've seen Visser 3 have someone, I guess if you get what do they call it, the anti-Yeerk thing, that's probably pretty painful.
Oh
But
yeah,
sometimes he
the
just shoots you
Vanarks.
and it's like, that doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah, well, that's just because he's usually killing people just at the spur of the moment. If he's decided, then he'll like torture you.
Here's a question that I wrote down from later, but I don't, it feels relevant now. And I feel like we've probably covered this before, but I don't remember. Is
Sure.
if you kill a host, does the Yeerk die immediately with it, or can they crawl out of the brain and go chill somewhere?
They can crawl out, but I am under the impression they don't have a lot of time. Like they can get trapped in a dead body and then die if they don't get out within a couple minutes of the host being killed.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know how that works, but okay. I got an answer.
Yeah, I think we will see that happen at some point. Like Yeerk's trying to get out of a decapitated body, and well, we can think about it when it happens, I guess.
Now I have to tell you, we are just a little past halfway through this book right now.
Yes, that's okay though, because the back half of this book starts picking up in terms of.
Well, here's what I was going to say is I have not even like a fifth of the amount of notes left as I did for the rest of the book. It just died off so fast with what happens.
Yeah, I mean, this was also part of the problem is that when I was like trying to do a little pre-reading to see where, are we going to be able to do this in one episode? I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's a lot going on. This could easily be a 3-hour podcast. And then, actually noting it down, it's like, all right, well, it dies out.
I feel like you could just summarize the rest of the book almost, and we could talk about it. But I mean, not quite, but Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty. Everything is just pretty straightforward from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna kind of chunk it and go by there. Um,
Chunk it,
oh,
baby.
yeah, chunk it, chunk it.
Okay, don't
But
chunk it that much.
oh, okay, just one chunk it.
Less
Uh,
chunking.
yeah. So, back to Rachel here. She figures she needs to get back to civilization to get answers, so she follows the stream back. Doesn't know who to trust or where to go, so she sneaks into an empty house that's been sold, and she gets some sleep there. But people saw her break in, and they call the cops on her. So, she wakes up hearing the cops pounding. Open up in there, and she morphs into an elephant, which this one she saw in a dream, so she knows she can do it. And she bursts out through the wall at the cops, and the Valik shows up because she morphed elephant. The cops start panicking and opening fire in this random suburban neighborhood. Good job, you guys. And Rachel's running from the Valik, but she realizes she can't let it just kill everyone here, so she turns to face it, and it comes in to try to steal her away like it did Axe, but it can't lift her because as an elephant, she's too heavy. So,
Yeah. And now, Rachel, I know you're an amnesiac. I guess that's the justification here. But an elephant, be something small. Be something small. You know you were a bird before. Just turn
no,
into a
no.
bird.
This is not the kind of person Rachel is. Rachel would have turned into an elephant and stomped those cops, even if she did remember her full suite of things.
I guess. Just be stealthy a little bit.
These fucking cops, right? Like, there's. I mean, I do want to. This is realistic, right? You got a bunch of cops. There's an elephant. There's a giant monster, like like 5 dragons glued together. You're gonna pull out your pistol and just start wildly firing around in the middle of a suburban neighborhood, escalating it and increasing the risk of just random gunshot wounds in addition to everything else going on. When you could just leave and hope it takes care of itself, because there's no way that you could possibly hurt this elephant or this monster, or maybe call in backup or deal with it later. No, we're gonna escalate it and make things worse for all the random civilians. This is true to life cop behavior right here.
Check, and check.
Yeah.
Do we think any of these cops are controllers? Or...
They say, so they did actually say in the last chapter that about 10% of the police force are controllers. So we actually canonically know in the Animorphs universe what percentage of cops are bastards, which is 90%. The Yeerks are just doing their jobs.
The Yeerks are just following orders. You're right.
They're just following orders, right?
You're right.
But that we can use that as our go-to. About 1 in 10 cops anytime we see some cops in this series.
I mean, here's the plus side of the 10% of the cops being Yeerks is I'm trying to do the math here. I'm not sure about it exactly, but it does mean fewer cops are beating their wives. Someone figure out the 40% but minus 10% of the force. Yeah, I know.
Well, 10% of that is 4%. I don't know if you needed me to tell you that.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you've picked up on this, but I'm pretty stupid.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm not confident to do 40 minus 4. That part's too hard for me.
Okay. Well, we'll let the listeners put that one together. I'll ask ChatGPT later.
Okay.
And we'll get that one going, but all right.
Yeah. There's fun. A good scene where Rachel's morphing back at the stream here that I just want to point back at because it's one of these good Animorph, Jesus Christ, sentences. Because remember, Rachel's limbs got ripped off by this Valik, and she's morphing. So she's morphing back, and it says, "I held the bloody stumps up so I could see them. I would have cried if I'd had human tears. Fingers, human fingers, were growing from the gore."
Ugh.
Right.
God. Human fingers. You know what?
Human fingers.
I would personally prefer in that situation Vienna fingers. You ever have those? Vienna fingers. You know what I'm talking about?
What about hot dog fingers, like from that movie?
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm still a Vienna guy, but
Okay. Yours is okay too, I guess.
yeah, Vienna fingers are really just worse golden Oreos. But I feel like when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I don't know if golden Oreos existed yet. As a kid, I would eat Vienna fingers and I loved them.
Hmm.
Anyway, just wanted to let
This
you
is
know.
fascinating.
Just
We'll turn this into a cookie podcast next episode.
People want to know this stuff. They're listening and they hear fingers. It's the
They're
same with
gonna
the horse
yeah.
dicks. They were in their cars going, oh, Vienna fingers, come on, bring up Vienna fingers. Ah, finally.
Right.
I'm here
I'm
for the
surprised.
people.
Have you brought up Oreos before on this podcast?
I don't think I have. Well, I don't think they've
I'm
come up in
shocked.
the books. You know, that's one bit of product placement that hasn't. Although it feels like it wouldn't be out of place, I feel like Axe might snack on some Oreos at some point.
Yeah, he could. He could.
But
If you wrote Animorphs, you'd be eating them Oreos.
yeah, forget Cinnabon. He's heading down to the Oreo Cafe at It's Sugar in the American Dream Mall. He's losing his mind over an Oreo ice cream sandwich creation.
Axe should not be allowed in It's Sugar. That's
No,
for sure.
Axe would wreak havoc in It's Sugar.
God, wait until when he sees the jelly bean pillars and he starts realizing maybe you can eat the architecture. That's when he's going to become a real menace.
He's gonna get carted away for standing there and licking the beans. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking what he's going to start going to other stores and eating the walls because maybe those are good too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like a little Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, so that's what the Axe chapters are missing is the shenanigans here.
Yeah. What are we at now? What happens next?
Yeah, well, so everybody's going off to bed. Tobias leaves for bed. They're all at the barn, but Cassie and Marco and Jake see the Valik heading off toward the town, towards Rachel here, and they decide to try to get it off her by basically playing morph keep away, right? If we keep morphing in different locations, it'll keep following the guy who's morphing. So they, meaning Marco and Jake, but not Cassie, decide to steal Cassie's dad's truck, her dad's pickup truck, to do it. Marco figures he can probably drive it good because he's good at Wipeout, but he can't. So he's driving into town, swerving over people's lawns and like hitting trash cans and mailboxes and generally being a menace while Jake and Cassie scream. There's a lot of funny jokes about him being bad at driving. They see Rachel the elephant, and Cassie gets out to go talk to her, and Jake morphs Tiger in the back seat to get the Valik off of her. And so now the Valik is after Jake and Marco in the truck.
Yeah, and we're off to the races with a little action scene here. Now, right before this, Cassie's mom tells her that the show that you like is on. Do you want me to tape it? What do you think that show is that Cassie likes?
Oh, interesting. Maybe something on like Animal Planet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably right. It's probably the Crocodile Hunter.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
All right. That's all I had really for this part.
Why not? Why not? I was thinking this whole idea, because like the idea is like, oh, morphing is like movement for the Valik, right? Like Tobias has the Predator's eyes. I was thinking this Valik is kind of like Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
No, no spoilers for Jordan Peele's Nope, but this is pretty nopey. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It is pretty Nopey. I was getting Nope vibes.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I want to watch
imagine
Nope again.
Jordan Peele directed the Animorphs movie.
Wow, that'd be good. I mean, let's be real. Get Out. That's a little Yeerky. Get Out.
Yeah, that's true. That's a little Yeerky.
That's not that. Yeah, Jordan Peele could be an Animorphs fan. I think
there's like an underground thing that could be a Yeerk pool in Us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna every new headcanon, every Jordan Peele movie is a Yeerk or is an Animorphs movie.
takes place in the Animorphs universe. Yeah.
Keanu, I think that cat is morphed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
excited for this now.
yeah.
Um,
All the Marco driving stuff is fun and funny. There is a part where Jake says, "Where do you learn to drive? Jersey?"
yeah, yeah, it's
which
good.
which is where I live for
Hmm.
listeners. So
Yep, that is
you
where you
know,
live. Yeah,
that was
it
fun. And
ain't much better where I live.
also a little bit of a giveaway for the Yeerks. Now they know they're not in Jersey. They
Yeah,
can
that's
cross that
true.
off the list.
They can cross that off the list. Narrowing it down now. I was this this kind of reminded me because like when I was a kid, if I would play like Cruisin' USA or whatever, because I liked that game. My parents would always joke and be like, "Oh, don't drive my car like that when you get your license." And this kind of, I was wondering if maybe Kay Applegate was making the same joke here. Like, oh, Marco's driving his car like he drives, like he plays Wipeout. Ah.
Now, on the flip side, spoilers again. I'm sorry for giving out spoilers, but spoilers for the
Oh.
2006 film Snakes on a Plane. But in that, at the end of that movie, the character played by Keenan Thompson successfully lands the plane, and he does so because he learned how to fly a plane by playing Grand Theft Auto on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he specifically mentions Grand Theft Auto or if he just says PlayStation, but either way,
Mm.
video games maybe could be good or
Yeah.
bad. Depends.
Yeah. Speaking of Grand Theft Auto, the tiger thing
Oh,
reminded me kind of actually of Saints Row.
mm.
Um,
Oh,
so do you remember a tiger escort from
I,
Saints Row? Might have been
I,
three.
I do. That's like the only one I've played, and I do remember that.
Yeah, in two, you had the escort missions where you had a prostitute in the back seat, and they would like have sex, and you try to get somewhere without disturbing them too much, or else they'd get mad at you for jostling the car. And then they replaced that in, I guess it was three, with you had a tiger in the back seat, and you couldn't jostle it too much, or it would attack you. So this kind of reminded me of that too. Marco
Yeah,
driving the tiger around.
that's good. Man, Animorphs would make bank on OnlyFans.
That's true. Yeah, furries pay out. That's well known.
Obviously, once they're of age.
Right, obviously, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah,
Then what
let's move on
happens?
from that one. We don't need to talk about that one too much more.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but so Marco's driving off. He's on the highway now, which is, good, I guess, or maybe not good. But he is not getting away from the Valik. So Jake jumps out and Marco goes off-road. And Jake starts dodging around this Valik as a tiger, which luckily it turns out it's not very mobile, so he can sort of dodge around it for a couple minutes. After about 5 minutes, Marco morphs gorilla to pull it off of Jake while still driving. So here he is as a gorilla driving the truck now. Um, Meanwhile, Cassie is over here talking to Rachel and getting Rachel to trust her, even though she doesn't know who she is. And she gets on Rachel's back and rides Rachel off into the woods away from all the people. And after a bit, she starts morphing Squirrel to draw the Valik off Marco. So now we're playing our morph keep away here. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. Which this poor Valik is just kind of, it reminds me of like a dog being taunted with a treat, right? Like, can't get it. Oh, it's over here now. Ah.
Oh, you know what would be really good? I just thought of this. So
Mm,
like the Friday the 13th video game, and there's all these similar games like that now where one player is like the big bad killer and everyone else is a regular person trying to take him down. I
sure.
want, and usually, like in the Friday 13th game, for instance, you'll get, like, if you're playing as Jason, you'll get little pings sometimes, like, oh, you heard a noise in this section of the camp, so you can, like, go there. But then they might try to distract you by making noise somewhere else. I want a version of that game where one person plays as the Valik, and everyone
Mm,
else is an Animorph running around, like, morphing in and out and stuff. Just an
mm.
idea. Just an idea.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun.
A lot of good. They missed out on a lot of good marketing opportunities with this series. Is what I'm
Yeah, they
saying.
should have hired you to do the Scholastic video games or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Then what?
They do have a whole thing in here. Oh yeah, what were you gonna say before?
No, I was gonna say then what happens.
Oh, I was just thinking. They have a whole thing in here that I did like with Rachel and Cassie talking, where Cassie's like, well, maybe we'll wear it out. Like, what's the end game of jumping it around, right? And
Right,
Rachel
right,
says, how do you know it wears out? Cassie
right.
says, we
Yeah,
don't. And
yeah,
Rachel says, are you Animorphs always this hopeless? And Cassie goes, yeah, pretty much.
yeah. That's
Which
fun.
is about right. Their plot, they never really know what they're doing here.
Yeah, it is true. This
Um,
could all be completely pointless.
yeah, they have no idea if they're just going to end up dying. Um, but anyway, up on the blade ship, right? Axe is in a cube, like the cube from book 5 that they were all kept in when they were captured. And so Visser 3 can, make it transparent and opaque and all that stuff to show off that he's winning. He shows them the Valik about to kill Jake, but then it leaves, and Visser 3's pissed off, and the Yeerks figure out, what they're doing. They're playing keep away, and Visser 3 says, all right, well, we'll just send our bug fighters in directly and attack them then, because they're dealing with the Valik, so, fuck them. So now Marco's driving along being chased by the Valik, and there's also bug fighters after him shooting at his truck. And he's going, and he accidentally runs into Rachel. I guess they probably should have coordinated where to be because Cassie is supposed to be drawing the Valik off of him, but whatever. They all end up in the same place. Marco hits Rachel at 70 miles an hour. Rachel's hit with like a Dracon beam. Rachel's leg is broken. Marco gets knocked out, and the Valik is coming to take Marco away. So Cassie is like, oh, I need to finish morphing Squirrel in order to save Marco, but she's too scared to do it, so the Valik takes him and not her. Um,
Yeah,
so, yeah,
yeah.
tisk Cassie here. But,
And yeah, you kind of you glossed over it a little. This cage that's made of this special
yeah,
metal, which
yes.
I think for the first time they tell you what it's called.
Yes, they do. I don't know if they ever tell you
Rammonite.
again. Ramonite.
Which they don't. They mention it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I was in a Rammonite cage," and then it's not for a couple more pages till they
Yeah.
explain what that is. And I was like, "What the fuck is Rammonite? Is that real? I don't know what that means."
Yeah, well, that's what
Yeah.
the Axe. I mean, in theory, when the Axe chapters are going well, that's part of the joy of it. Is that Axe won't say I was in a box. He'll say I was in a Ramonite box, and now you know
Mm.
what it is. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
what they were in before, basically.
Yeah, he in reference to the Taxons here, I thought you would like this when he mentions their deep evil, and also the fact that the Taxons usually handle the more subtle work.
Yeah, it's because they have little delicate,
What?
leggy hands.
What? Nothing about a Taxon is subtle. What subtle work are they doing?
Well, Hork-Bajir can't operate control panels as well because they aren't. They don't have millions of tiny little arms. They got big clunky talons.
I guess I haven't thoroughly examined pictures of them side by side, but I would have assumed it would be the opposite. But what do I know? I guess about
Yeah, I
Taxons.
don't know. That's how it's described, I guess. We get some taxon dialogue here. One of them says, Srin yet Siri Srinyi Sri.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's how taxons talk.
yeah, yeah. And then another one says "scree."
Yeah, after
Uh,
Visser 3 kills it.
yeah, and its insides slosh out all over the floor.
Right, as is usual.
And
They
two
do this all
Taxons
the
come
time.
over and start eating it.
Right, this, again, normal.
Right, just another day on the Blade ship.
It's not a very good work environment, really.
No, they really need to unionize.
That's right. Yeah, Visser 3, the ultimate union buster, though.
So like I said, I don't know. I don't know where, I don't know which part. If I'm about to say something that didn't happen yet, I don't know.
Whatever. It's all happening.
I liked when Cassie's now trying to help Rachel remember everything. She says, "There's Jake. He's your cousin." I feel like that was she wanted to get in there real quick. He's
Oh,
your
yeah.
cousin.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Just before you get any ideas in your head, I know you might have
Hmm.
some instincts.
Yeah, I know he's got that chiseled jaw and confident chin, but
Yeah. It's scientifically proven that people you're related to, if you didn't know them your whole life, you're more likely to be attracted to them if they have physical traits in common with you.
yeah, I did know that.
Hmm.
I'd never read it, but I was aware just from experience.
Right. All right. Let's just okay. Can we just finish the
We're-
book? Just
no, there's too much more.
there's nothing. They keep running around for like another 50 pages. It's nothing
Yeah.
happens.
No, they escape. They escape here. At this point, Axe acquires one of his fleas. Remember how Axe had fleas at the beginning?
Right.
Remember? Remember
Right.
that Chekhov's fleas?
Right.
But he acquires and morphs one of his fleas. So when they transparent his cube, it doesn't look like he's in there, and when they open it, he jumps out. Um, Marco's now here too because they brought him in. Um, and Axe jumps on Visser 3. He uses thought speech to tell Marco how to use the computers, so Marco can open up the hatch, and Axe will distract them all by morphing on top of Visser 3. So now the Valik attacks Visser 3, right? And then Axe jumps onto Marco, and Marco jumps out the hatch. And even though they're 2 miles up in the air, they morph into birds to escape midair. They morph back and then morph into birds, and they escape. Um, Meanwhile, Visser 3 says something interesting, which is as the Valik's attacking him, he says, bring me water. Because it turns out that water, because they're so small, the water particles trap it or whatever. So it's weak to water. Oh, that's its secret weakness. Now we know how to.
It's a signs alien.
It's a signs alien. That's what it is. So
Sorry for
they get
spoilers.
away because they're birds anyway. Rachel fortunately got her memory back when she got hit by a car, so that's good. That part's over with. So she and Cassie morph into owls and fly off.
Yep.
So, yep, here we go. We get our first physical description of a Valik here because when Axe is a flea, he sees one of them up close.
Right.
Yeah. So the individual Valiks, they are a creature the size of a flea with 100 minuscule wings. They have antennae covered in tiny upturned bowls, like the dishes of radio telescopes. Those are the structures they use to sense energy. They have no eyes and no mouth, but 2 long filaments, like strands of wire, sweep from the front to the back, and they feed by channeling energy down the wires. So that's what one... Yeah.
I wonder if they must scream. Other than that, no questions.
Yeah, it's just a giant flock of those guys. So that's pretty good here.
It's cool. It's a good. I like the Valik. It's a really good concept for a creature parentheses S.
Yeah, I do like it. We get some Hork-Bajir speech. As the Valik is morphing, one of them says, Visser, Gol Hadrash is Marag Valik. Oh, they also answer my question from earlier in this section. They got their owls to guard Jake. Because I had been wondering last time, when did Rachel get an owl?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's when Rachel got her owl.
I am very relieved that mystery has been cleared up.
Yeah, I took a little note of that here, so now we know.
I can take that Post-it note off my monitor now. Okay.
Right. We were stacking up these Post-its, but we're also taking them off.
Yeah, you got to take them off. You can't just stack.
Yeah.
Yeah, Visser 3 calls Marco a monkey. That makes him pretty mad.
Yeah. He also says, like, morph out of that stupid form. He does not like monkeys, apes.
Right. Now, I mean, I have one more thing to really talk about in this entire book. And I feel like it's the most important, to me, thing in the whole book.
Well, does it have anything to do with the final plan? Because that's basically all that's left is now that they've escaped, they got to come back together and kill this.
It has nothing to do with the plot of the book.
Maybe we'll just finish it then.
All right, so I'll just save it for the end.
Yeah, we can do it as a kind of a post discussion,
Okay,
maybe.
okay, sure. Okay.
If unless you, yeah, whatever,
No, no,
fuck
no, no,
it.
no. That's better.
Uh,
That's better. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish the thought.
okay. So we'll just finish up this book. Jake, interesting little point. Jake comes home and gets grounded because he comes home at midnight. And funnily to me, Marco just doesn't tell anybody that they survived. So everybody else goes home thinking Marco's dead. Um, but he wakes up Jake the next morning just by being on his bed, being like booga booga booga. So funny little Marco, he got him.
Good
Everyone thought he was
stuff.
dead.
Good
Um,
stuff.
yeah, but they all meet up. Cassie's got a plan to beat it. She's like, I gotta be the one to do it because, I was a coward. So, Tobias flies out, and basically, the plan is this: they're gonna go, and Cassie's gonna morph into a whale for the plan. So Tobias goes out, scouts him a whale. They turn into dolphins. They go out to get it. The Valik can't catch them because they're in the water as dolphins. Cassie acquires the whale. Okay. And the idea is that Tobias is going to carry Cassie in cockroach morph as high as he possibly can. And then she's going to jump off in cockroach morph and morph human, um, at which point the Valik will go for her. And then after the Valik catches her, she's going to morph whale. And then the Valik's going to get dragged down into the ocean and it's going to die. Um, so this is the plan, and they do it, and it works, and it's pretty much the most abrupt ending in the entire series because I think the Valik hits the water on the last page of the book, and then Cassie, as a whale, sings a song of hope, and that's it, and that's the end of the book.
It
Like
is
it is actually
remarkable.
done. We're done.
The fact that in the extra long book they somehow still managed to come up with a plan that should be like they should have cut out half the morph keep away and extended this part of the book. It's like a complicated plan and they still managed to
Yeah.
cram it into the final pages.
And I should note there are 44 chapters in this book. The start of what I just started describing, where they say, "Okay, we got to take this out," was chapter 38. So there's 7 chapters I just went over there, and that really is just about everything that happens in it. There's a couple points in here. There's like Marco at the beach has a great line here uh, that I'm just going to read it here. He says, I'm just saying, there are people who should be lying out on the beach and people who shouldn't be. Do you see fat, hairy guys in Speedos on Baywatch? No. No. On Baywatch, they have a law against it. David Hasselhoff kicks anybody off the beach who isn't good looking. We need the Hasselhoff law here. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta start saying that in real life.
Yeah, the Hasselhoff law.
The Hasselhoff law is good. I mean, there's some other great. Marco also says when Jake says the Valik carried you away, Marco says yes, it did, and now we're going steady.
Oh yeah. That was a good one too.
That is funny. I also like when Tobias gets mad that he was asleep while all this stuff happened.
Yeah. Poor Tobias left out.
But a funny Tobias line, Marco makes some crack at him and he says, "Come stand over here, Marco. Stand under my branch."
Oh yeah. Tobias and Marco have good banter.
It's good. It's funny stuff. So yeah, I mean,
oh yeah, and Rachel's still getting a little bits of her memory back. So there's a part where Rachel says, "Do I like it when you call me Xena, or do I kick your butt?"
yeah. I like that. I want Marco to be like, "Oh, you love it." Yeah. I'm into it.
That's what. Yeah, but that's really it. All this action stuff takes up a lot of time, and there's just not that much. You'd think there'd be so much time spent on Cassie saying like, "Oh, the ethics of morphing the whale," but really there's like 2 sentences about it, and then they just
and it's 2 sentences more than I needed to read. My eyes glazed over. I was like, "Shut up, Cassie! I don't want to hear that shit from you." I do wonder. Maybe you could tell me. Do they reference a whale morph in a later book? Like, does that come
Cassie's
back?
gonna morph whale again. So
okay, so it is like you said, it's canon. It's not nothing. That's something.
Yeah, she's got a whale.
She's got a whale. Now it would be interesting if she got a whale morph and she just ended up eating a big meatball sub and crying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Maybe she'd
my
win an Oscar for that.
in my notes. I just wrote the whale joke, so that I just came up with that.
Good
I mean,
joke.
I came up with this maybe putting it a bit too strongly, but so I mean, okay. So I'll just say overall, I even though I,
Mhm,
I feel like I spent a long time just saying nothing is happening and I'm bored. Let's move on. I did
mhm.
actually enjoy this book. And I actually really liked the different perspectives. I thought there was some good George R. R. Martining. This is how the Song of Ice and Fire books pretty much work, and a lot of times they'll do what this book did, which is you end one perspective on a little bit, just a tiny cliffhanger. So
Mhm.
you're like, oh, what? And then you go to the next somewhere else. So there's always a hook that gets you interested right at the end. I honestly wouldn't mind if the main books were like this. I kind of like this
Mm,
format.
mm.
um, I
Yeah, I mean
like being able to switch scenes and stuff.
there are definite advantages to it. Like pretty huge advantages to having more than one character's perspective, but I don't know, that's the gimmick.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and maybe if it were every book, maybe I would be tired of it or something. I don't know.
yeah. And there are some disadvantages like I said, I think Cassie's whole emotional conundrum would have worked better if we'd followed her the whole time. Like I think it's
Right.
harder to get that kind of like I'm dwelling on this ethical issue that I have if we have to bounce between all the different characters who don't have that issue. Um I don't know.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that
But you also get everyone gets to have something instead of five of them just not doing anything for the book.
yes. Yes. It is a big advantage.
um yeah, I don't know, but like I mean, how do you feel about this book in the overall line of Animorphs books?
I mean, it's fine. I think that this one, I mean, to me this one's a little bit on the weaker side, but I think it's more just because it's just another one of those stories. Like when I think of all the Animorphs, I tend to think of the books that are like uh very important to the overarching plot or like really crazy wild because some absolutely insane shit happens, or have some idea that's just like so out there in terms of its meaningless dumb plot that doesn't add much. Whereas this one's like, oh yeah, that was a fun one. I guess there's a Valik, they chase it around, sure, but I don't. It kind of blends in and becomes mediocre to me in hindsight. Although there are, a lot of dumb individual scenes like the pool party that stick with me as I guess what I'm saying is if I were going to adapt to Animorphs, there's a good chance that this would be one of the stories that I'd kind of look at and say, you could throw that in for an episode, or you could throw your own original idea in, or whatever, who cares? But like some of the scenes in this have got to stay, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fair. What would you think about this kind of a thing if I said, "The leak, don't like it. Rock the Casbah."
I would think you should have done something with Casbah too.
I didn't have anything to do with it. Okay, rock the Cassie.
Ooh,
Like
ooh.
that's
Drop
that.
the Cassie. Drop the Cassie.
Okay.
Now we got it.
All right. See, that's why there's two of us. We
Right.
complement each other.
We work together.
Now, okay, I want to address this thing that to me is
Yes.
is a big deal
Please address.
because there are 2 points in this book
Mm-hmm.
where the characters directly reference the fact that it's a book. Now,
Hmm.
up until now, at least from my understanding, maybe I missed a detail, all of the POVs can kind of be hand waved as just like a storytelling device. That it's not necessarily strictly written down in the way you think it is, that you're reading it as a book.
Mm-hmm.
However, first there is a part relatively early on when Marco, I think maybe it's his first chapter, he says, "By the way, hi, I'm Marco." Which feels like he's aware that there have been other chapters before him. It feels
Mm-hmm.
like he knows that you're getting other perspectives, and he's like, "Oh, now it's my turn," which
That's
is
true.
a strange thing. But then even more direct than that, very close to the end of the book, I believe it's when Axe is describing the Valik creatures. He says they're not much bigger than a comma on this page.
Hmm.
He references punctuation. Like he acknowledges that this is being published
Hmm.
and written down. So it's just, I don't know if that is just a fluke and they later like ignore that, but it feels like it just brings everything more into question for me of how and why and whether or not they're actually like sharing these stories with the world, which as I feel stated before makes pretty much no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just an extension of the like we can't tell you who we are or where we live on the back of every book here.
Yeah.
Where they're talking to I don't know.
But
Yeah,
the fact
I
just
see it.
this makes it sound like they're like they all sat around and were like, let's write this thing together. You know? Like it's so weird. It's very weird.
It is I don't know. Like it's talking to you as a kid, but then it's also not. Yeah, I guess I just like again when I was a kid, I did buy into the whole "they're talking to you" thing, and I would be all like, "They're gonna find you," and now maybe I just kind of ignore it because it's not worth thinking about. But like that is there, I guess. I don't know.
I've compartmentalized it until this point when it was just so in my face that I had to think about it again. But
Hmm.
I don't know. That was it. The comma thing just blew my mind. That was my elemist of this book was the mention of a comma.
That was my personal elemist.
My elemist. All right, pop culture. There's a lot of it in this book because it's a longer
Yeah,
book.
let's go through it.
Okay, Xena Warrior Princess, of
Of
course.
course.
The Baby Ruth bar we mentioned.
Hmm.
1,000 bowls of Captain Crunch. Marco
Hmm.
says it's like he ate that much for energy or something like that.
Yeah, when he was a
Uh,
mouse.
mentions being strapped to the front bumper of an Indy 500 car. It's probably also the mouse.
I think they've used that one before, but yes, like
Yeah,
in with a roach or something.
they definitely mentioned Indy 500 before. When he is morphing, he says it's the way Mickey Mouse would look if he'd been invented by Stephen King. I think it's funny in when Stephen King is used as just a shorthand for like scary stuff. As it like when if you've actually read a lot of Stephen King books, I mean a lot of them are just not he's not just like I don't know, they act like he's like Vincent Price or something, like it's this just like or Dracula, like they just use him
Yeah.
as like a boogeyman.
Yeah, I feel like Stephen King, if he invented Mickey Mouse, would have made him look very much the same. Only maybe instead of like a big mascot, he'd be like the mascot of the local toy store in the town of a population of 50 people and nobody's heard of it. And but like other than that, he would be exactly the same.
Yeah, that's probably right. Now, the Valik rips the house apart like it was made out of Legos. That, of
Mhm.
course, is wrong.
Right,
The
I knew. Yeah.
plural of Lego is Lego bricks. Now, unfortunately, they never made revised editions of the Megamorphs books, which means they never had the chance to correct these errors. But
That's too bad.
so that is what it is. Now, of course, they mentioned the Ben and Jerry's truck and that crashes. The Valik hits it, I think. Uh,
Yeah, that's the truck that the Valik like runs into when Rachel's at the beginning. Yeah.
and they mentioned two specific flavors, even Cherry Garcia and Wavy Gravy, which is not a flavor that exists anymore. I had never heard of this one. It sounds kind of gross, like there's gravy in it, but it's caramel cashew Brazil nut ice cream with chocolate hazelnut fudge swirl and roasted almonds.
Oh my god, I want it.
Named after the iconic 1960s activist and Woodstock MC.
I'm gonna go get some Ben and Jerry's. I think after this.
This was retired. The flavor was retired in
Mm.
2001, but I think they brought it, maybe tried to bring it back, but it never came back.
I could go for some ice cream. Oh man.
Yeah, we'll get some after this. There's reference
Okay.
to a VCR tape, not a
Yes, of
VHS
course.
tape, a VCR tape. Of course, we talked about Rachel shopping, which means they mentioned the limited.
Hmm.
When she's imagining shopping, she says she's not. She really does get these shoes, and she gets a
Yes.
one size 6 Reebok and one size 5 Converse.
Right. Right.
Reference to a Denny's and a Dairy Queen. Marco
Yep.
says to yes.
Oh no,
Something.
I was no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
You can
Thought
keep
maybe
going.
you
It's
had
not
more
important.
Denny's talk. Marco tells Jake, "You look so Arnold," and Jake goes, "So what?" Like he doesn't get the. Marco has to explain to him who Arnold Schwarzenegger is.
If he would laugh the first time, Marco wouldn't have to keep making the joke.
So true. Of course, we go to the mall, which means we have to read out a laundry list of stores.
Yeah,
Radio
but you didn't
Shack.
do
Yeah. Oh.
Marco's full impression.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the full impression?
Yeah, hold on. I have it written down wherever he did it.
Well, you better come up with it quick.
No, he's like he
Uh
says all right then, let's do it.
Well, that was great.
Yeah,
You nailed it. You nailed it.
that's what he says.
Stores at the mall: Radio Shack, August Woman, Godiva, The Gap, Mrs. Fields, Casual Corner, B. Dalton, Kinney Shoes, and Banana Republic. Cassie says there are no Brad Pitt flies. They're all ugly.
Right. Again, what about a Jeff Goldblum fly?
Good question. She mentions a box of, quote, vanilla wafers. I hope I don't need to tell you
Wait.
there's no such thing as vanilla wafers.
Wait,
I don't know
really?
That's what they say. That's
I
what
had
I had.
vanilla wafers written down. Did I just gloss over it and assume they did it right?
Now, either it's possible you glossed over it or my ebook versions got it wrong.
Oh, I wish I had a page number so I could. Whatever. We'll never know.
Oh, no. No, we have to find this out.
All right. Well, it must be before the Winnebago and the Wipeout because those are the next things that I have written down. So where does Marco plays Wipeout?
You try to look for it. I'll rush to the rest of these. Like you said, Winnebago, Wipeout. It says that something could kick the butts of the entire Dallas Cowboys at once. So I guess the Dallas Cowboys are shorthand for, very people who are strong.
Yeah, I'm supposed to not think that though because of where I'm from. We don't like the Cowboys, but I don't care.
Right. A lot of Star Trek references come in a short span of time. Starship Enterprise, Data, Worf, Sulu, Spock, Kirk, and Picard all get name dropped. When Jake gets grounded, he specifically is told no Sega. So, not a Nintendo kid. Marco I guess Doom was on Genesis. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
I was a Nintendo kid, so I don't know what was on Sega. Besides, some things I do. Anyway, and again, Xena. We mentioned you already went through the Speedos, but also Baywatch, David Hasselhoff, and finally, for me, something makes someone look like the Goodyear blimp, but I don't remember what that means.
Yeah. Wait, did I miss you talk about the Starship Enterprise here?
No. I said all the Star Trek references.
I think I just found it at that time and blanked for a second because I had to scan the words.
Did you actually actually find Nilla wafers?
Yeah, I did find it.
And
it does say Nilla wafers.
Wow, this is fucked. My versions suck.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had vanilla wafers. What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right. Whoever
bad.
put this shit together, fucking idiots.
I know. What's wrong with them? They messed it up.
Fucking pieces of shit. Now I can't trust anything that I read.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, I cannot fucking believe we managed to make this episode this fucking long. This is your fault, though, this time. This is 100% on you.
Excuse you?
I was ready to call it at like an hour and a half. I had nothing left to talk about.
Well, people need to know what happened. You can't just say that and then the book ends.
This is what you could say. This is what you could say.
There's
then
events.
The Valik chases them. They get away. They turn into a whale. The end.
No, because then we don't get to see them jumping out of a plane and turning into birds and we don't get to see
This
Visser
was our
3.
chance. This could have been a short one.
No, 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 no.
I mean, the beginning was both our faults. There was 20 minutes we didn't need to have.
No, we need those 20 minutes. It's our standard now.
What we really need is this part when we talk about how it is too long.
Right, and then we add 10 minutes onto it by doing that.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to give us feedback on how long you think the episodes should be, or how you feel about the Megamorphs, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your theories involving commas or whales or whatever else you have on your mind. You can email us. Our email address is theyeerkyboys@gmail.com. We will read those emails on the show, I swear to Christ. And you can also follow us on Twitter at the Yeerky Boys, where we make great tweets about Yeerks. You can also follow me at Quentz on Twitter, or you can listen to my other podcast, which is available right now. I highly recommend it, called Geeks on Trial, which you can find on your podcast platform of choice or on YouTube. That podcast again is Geeks on Trial. I'm trying to do the promotional thing. It's hard for me. I'm trying to hype myself up.
I watched a single clip of that one time, and it was pretty good, so I'd recommend it.
Wow, I mean that's a big endorsement from you.
It sure is. You can follow me if you would like on Twitter at DogTimesMcGee. I'm not as interesting as all that though.
Nah, don't sell yourself short. Come on.
Well, thanks anyone, anyone who's still listening. Thank you. Tune in next time when we'll be discussing Book 8, The Alien, in which Axe turns back from a boy on the Yeerky Boys.
That's bad.